to the F1 2017 British Grand Prix last of first challenge, and this week, guys, I will be driving as Lewis Hamilton. But as you may have quite possibly seen by the title, this is not your standard last of first challenge on this game, guys, because this is the craziest race I have ever had or ever seen on the F1 2016 game. You know, obviously this is on Xbox One, so there is no modding or anything like that. So I've got all of that, you know, my driver glitz and glamour to it all. But this race was pretty damn crazy on the whole, guys. As I said, I opted to drive as Lewis Hamilton, you know, hashtag blessed, because I'm hoping, you know, he does win the British Grand Prix. It'll be the 4th time in a row he's won the British Grand Prix, so that'll be absolutely incredible if he's able to do so. I think that'll be his 5th time he's won the race, which is, you know, absolutely brilliant. But you can just see, obviously, the new layout of the circuit. Not exactly what a lot of people like, but I definitely prefer it over the old layout. So, you know, it works quite well, nicely for me, guys. But just having a quick rundown through the grid then. And we've got Sebastian Vettel on pole with Verstappen second. The Williams, like at the second row there, very, very good job by them. And then we've got Hulkenberg, who is the first odd performance of the day. Hulkenberg, no way he's particularly good. Rosberg, Ricciardo, Alonso, Gutierrez, Raikkonen. Julian Palmer showing how good he is up in P11. Sainz, Button, Kvyat, Magnussen, Grosjean. Then we've got Sergio Perez, Rio Haryanto, Felipe Nasr, Marcus Ericsson, Pascal Wehrlein, and then myself as Lewis Hamilton, starting from the very back for the start of this British Grand Prix. And moving on then, having a look at the race director. Obviously a 13-lap race, and we're going to try and stretch the hards as far as we possibly can during this race. But it's telling me that the mediums are the mandatory tyre, and you sort of, on this game, you never really know whether you want to believe it or not anymore, because it is a bit odd whether it does actually force you to use the mandatory tyre. So I'm going to stick with the medium softs for, the hard softs for now. See where it takes me, and you know, if it starts warning me right at the very end that I've got to go onto a set of the mediums, then, well, I'm going to have to go onto a set of the mediums unless I want to get disqualified, guys. But let's move on then into the British Grand Prix. It's 5 lights for the start of the 13-lap race, and it's lights out, and away we go, and off to a fairly poor start on the whole. Nowhere near as bad as Grosjean there on the inside. He's going to fall right back to the very back of the field. But coming into turn 1, just going to try and have a look around the outside of just about as many cars as I possibly can. Up to P17 we go. We're going to go for a bit of a switchback on this little cluster of 3 cars there as well. Up to P14 now. And we've already made up 8 positions in 3 corners there. So, you know, we can be happy with that just for now. But we got one of the Renaults there of Magnussen trying to just about hold it on my inside there. But unfortunately for him, it's not going to work out. And next up on my hit list, Jenson Button, as we fly down towards Sector 2. Then we're going to go down his inside, down the inside as well of Carlos Sainz there. Up into P12 we go in the Grand Prix. And next up we have got the best British driver so far in this Grand Prix, Julian Palmer, and none of us are inside the points at this moment in time, so that's not exactly what we wanted. But having a look now, going for a bit of a switch on Julian Palmer here as we come through the old turn 1 here. We're made up half our way through the field here in the first half lap of the Grand Prix. We've got Alonso, Gutierrez and Raikkonen all squabbling there as well, so we're just going to dive it down the inside into the next corner. There are another 3 places made up, and now we've got a little bit of contact up ahead there between a Williams and a couple of other cars, so we're going to try and have a look around outside of a teammate, Rosberg, as he squeezes me all over the grass there. Gutierrez gives me a good little push for satisfaction there, and they're all going absolutely everywhere here. We're just going to try and keep it calm as we come now in through the final sector of the first lap of this Grand Prix, and we can just see we get a good run on my teammate Rosberg there. Dive it down his inside, dive it down the inside of Daniel Ricciardo there as well. Had to try and give him a little bit of room as he sort of parks it, just keeping his front wing there in on the final couple of corners of the lap. But P22 to P6 on the opening lap of this British Grand Prix. Safe to say, so far, you know, it's working out for myself as we go through turn 1 all but flat out there. And we got Valtteri Bottas now, the next car on my hit list there. And Nico Hulkenberg, who is still doing a surprisingly decent result there for Nico Hulkenberg. Up in P4 though, so, you know, he's not on the podium, so it's a little less surprising. But coming through Sector 1 and down towards Sector 2, we've got a good run on Valtteri Bottas there in his Williams. Down the inside into Sector 2 we go there, and that's another move we've made. Up into P5 we go in this Grand Prix. And just remember, you know, we're on the harder set of tyres as well, so all the time we gain now will only get even pushed further during the second stint of this Grand Prix, guys. But now I've got Nico Hulkenberg just ahead of me, and using the slipstream down towards the old turn 1 here. We're going to dive it down the inside. Bit of a late lunge there, but you know, we made the position stick, and I'm into P4 we now move in this British Grand Prix. So it's looking good for myself at the very moment of this race, guys. But this is where the action starts to get a little bit odder as we come through the final few corners of the lap here. You can see there's a couple of guys just ahead of me there and coming through down towards the line there, and now the safety car has been deployed there, which was a little bit odd in itself because we saw no drivers retire there. So I'm going to try and have a look back, have a look at what happened on the action there, as we could just have a look. Cycling our way back through the field, and there seems to be a big train of cars there. There's a Renault just absolutely parked in the middle of the road, and for some reason I couldn't actually go on board with the Renault at that moment in time. I had to skip a little bit further on. F1's replay systems still not exactly what I call perfect there, but unfortunately all we see is one of the Renaults there spinning through the final couple of corners. I can only presume he got tagged by the Force India just up ahead of him there, and unfortunately for him, that will leave him facing the wrong direction as we come into the final sector there. That'll leave him massively behind as well, but this wasn't the only bit of odd action we saw. There was actually a collision under the safety car between, I think that was actually Jenson Button and one of the Toro Rossos there. You could just see coming down into the final couple of corners, they all break under safety car, and Button fully locks up all four wheels there and just on the grass through the final corner there. And that was a bit of an odd error by the AI there, you know, a bit odd to see. But now this is where stuff really starts to get a bit interesting, because you can just see that the safety car has now been deployed, but unfortunately where we got set up on the start-finish line, the safety car has come out literally just behind the front couple of cars in the pack. So this basically left the safety car, you know, sort of in a bit of a catchment area, if you will. You know, it was close enough to P1 that it didn't want to let the cars through, but now it's let Felipe Massa through there and taken a swipe at him. Not really too sure what that was all about, but he's starting to let a couple of drivers through there. You can just see he's let the top four now through. Nico Hulkenberg is going to be the next person that has to attack him, but coming through now, we're a little bit under the delta there, so you have to slow down quite a bit there. But the safety car still hasn't like fully moved over to the side yet, you know, let everyone through. He's worked out now that he's outside the catchment of P1 there, you know, he's far enough back that he's going to have to let everyone go for a lap. But then you can just see Hulkenberg moves through, and the safety car has completely wiped out a Williams car there of Valtteri Bottas. I need to get a better look at that from the pair of them further behind there. So you can just see coming through the onto the old front straight, if you will, and you can just see the safety car starts slowing down to let everyone through. Hulkenberg goes through. The safety car takes a swipe at Hulkenberg originally there and just completely comes across Valtteri Bottas there. Somehow Bottas has come out of that with, well, he's lost his whole front wing, but he's come out still facing the right direction there. But I think, you know, as the old saying goes, it shouldn't be called a safety car, it should be called a danger car after that move there. And that was just one of the oddest antics we saw in this Grand Prix. You know, we're already only on lap 3, and it's safe to say a lot of interesting stuff has happened so far. But diving it now into the pit lane here on the end of lap 3, we're going to go onto a set of the medium tyres to the very end of the Grand Prix. You know, that worked out quite nice for myself, because, you know, therefore we guarantee we won't end up with the mandatory tyre glitch. But coming out in to my pit box, we've got the first pit box here, which I thought, you know, probably wouldn't benefit me that much, as we've got a huge train of cars there. But Rosberg basically parking it in front of everyone else. Everyone else has to weave around in there. But fortunately for me, it has worked out well. Felipe Massa's pitted. His teammate Bottas has blocked Sebastian Vettel there of getting out of his pit box, and that has worked out absolute wonders for myself. We're now effectively in the net lead of this British Grand Prix, guys, and this is looking good for myself. Everyone behind is on a harder compound of tyres, guys. But now skipping on to the end of the next lap here, guys. You can see we're going to come through the final corner and back up into the lead we go of the Grand Prix there. But coming through turn 1, the safety car is completely parked there. I only just noticed him at the very last second there, because he blended quite well into the ground there. So unfortunately for me, Felipe Massa now has moved up into the lead of the race. A bit of a noob error from myself, but you could just see there, basically everyone that had to pit on the second lap of the safety car there has got a drive-through. Daniel Ricciardo has got 2 penalties, a stop-go and a drive-through there. Kimi Raikkonen, drive-through. Sergio Perez, drive-through. Danny Kvyat, drive-through. Fernando Alonso, drive-through. Pascal Wehrlein, drive-through. Grosjean, Nasser and Magnussen, they have all got drive-through penalties there. How many drivers is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 drivers have received drive-through penalties there. So almost half the field has been penalised there, and that is just even more oddness to add to the antics of this British Grand Prix, guys. But fortunately now, hopefully, on the safety car restart, you know, the action can sort of simmer down a bit, if you will, guys. And we've just got to try and get past Felipe Massa as quickly as we possibly can to take the lead of the Grand Prix there. Massa actually gets off to a very, very good restart there from the safety car there. He caught me out quite nicely there. But, you know, we're going a quicker car on a quicker set of the tyres, guys. Everyone now who had a drive-through penalty is having to peel off into the pit lane there. So this basically splits the Grand Prix up into two separate fields, guys. You can just see coming through turn 1 though. Massa so slow as he comes through the corner there. The AI is on ultimate there, but no idea why Massa was hanging about. So we dive it down his inside into turn 3 there. And that gives me the lead of the British Grand Prix, guys. And from then on out, you know, it should be plain sailing to the very end of the Grand Prix there, guys. You can just see it lighting up the timing screens on the end of a lap 7 there, and then once again on the end of a lap 8. We go purple once again there, down to a 32.3, which is actually a lap record around this track in race trim there. But now on to the end of a lap 11, and we do it once more for good measure there, guys. Another fastest lap, breaking just about into the 32.2s there. As you can just see, coming to the end of the British Grand Prix, the end of lap 13 here, guys. And we have been able to come through to win as Lewis Hamilton in the British Grand Prix in what can only be described as one of the oddest races I've ever had on this F1 2016 game. So that was the end of the British Grand Prix there. Toto Wolff absolutely ecstatic that we were able to take home the race win. Driving as Lewis Hamilton there, his, what, 5th or 6th race. I think, sorry, this is his 5th race win at this Grand Prix, guys. And hopefully, you know, tomorrow he will be able to repeat this feat. Obviously, not from the back at least, but, you know, he should have a bit more of a plain sailing race there. But Lewis Hamilton wins the Grand Prix ahead of Max Verstappen and Sebastian Vettel there. Very, very well done. And, you know, a brilliant, brilliant race there. One of the oddest races, you know, I think, you know, it's, you know, I have to put that in the title because, you know, it was pretty damn spectacular there. But I think, you know, it's safe to say, guys, the safety car wiped out 2 people. 9 people ended up with drive-through penalties. Felipe Massa just decided to, like, be Felipe Massa. Hulkenberg did well in qualifying and was nearly looking at a podium there. The safety car parked it just in front of me there. I had to take evasive action from him. But we have come through, therefore, to win the British Grand Prix, driving as Lewis Hamilton there. As I said, Max Verstappen, Sebastian Vettel came P2 and P3 there. Felipe Massa, P4. Nico Hulkenberg somehow holding on to his P5 in that Grand Prix. Bottas, P6. Haryanto came through ahead of Nico Rosberg there. Haryanto got P7 in that Grand Prix there. Rosberg 8th. Sergio Perez and Esteban Gutierrez there, the 2 Mexicans, rounding out the top 10 in that Grand Prix, with Carlos Sainz and Jenson Button just missing out there, guys. But hopefully, you know, you have enjoyed this British Grand Prix last first challenge, guys. The craziest race I think I've ever had on this F1 2016 game, guys. But as I said, don't forget to like, subscribe if you are new around here and you want to see more content. And I will see you guys next time for a brand new video.
Yeah.